Hey guys, this is Void of Dust Gaming, and after the successful beginner's guide, we are talking about VERES today, and I'm going to talk about her abilities in this video. I'm going to show some gameplay so you know what to do on lane or not what to do, depending on what I do on lane. And I will talk about Arcana and equipment. Note, this has been updated the video before the new patch, so you will need other items in the old video. This is basically the build potential is not the main focus in this video. So it's more about how to use VERES, but you can see how much potential she has from what you see in this video after I go 6-0 or something like that. Because the beginning of the video isn't that spectacular. Note to yourself, this is a match on the solo lane against Florentino. As you guys know, Florentino is one of the strongest characters in the entire game. He is so good that you don't have to be the best player in the world to make him work. But this is just how much potential he has in lane, and it's outrageous. Like people do ban him all the time in the upper ranked leagues where you can actually ban characters, which means that you can't pick him for the fight. That's how good Florentino is. VERES is I found VERES to be a good counter pick because she shuts down many of his abilities quite nicely, and with the sustain, the built-in sustain that she has from her passive, I think she is really good. So let's talk about the abilities first. That's like the first thing that we are going to talk about. The most important thing about VERES is her passive. It is your biggest task to manage her passive and to get the most out of the passive by using it correctly. And your passive, for the guys who don't know VERES, and as this is a beginner's guide, I'm going into it by detail. Your passive is the thing that appears after you have hit, let's see it, 4 times successfully. That is that blue circle that you see around her. Like, look at this right now. And the circle is without, it's not like always correct in Arena of Valor, but this circle is kind of the area where you will hit enemies, which means that you generate a big area of effect after you have hit 3 attacks, and then the 4th attack will be that passive attack. It deals true damage, which is always really good because it neglects the armor of the enemy. Like, look at that, how much damage she does. That's how good she is. And that was a perfect example of how not to manage your passive, because I did not hit Florentino. And it takes some time to use. So I'm not a pro on VERES. I've played like 20 or 30 games with her. So there is really much to improve for me as well. So don't take this on like the pro guide. If you want to see a pro guide, you have to watch someone else. And look at that, defeated. That's how good she can be if you make her work. Her passive deals true damage, as I said, and your passive will give you some life steal, which is really good on sustaining. So always try to hit as many enemies and minions as possible. That is the first one. The second one, or like the first real ability, the thing that is circling around you, like that metal kind of thing, is called the snake. And the snake has an end and a beginning. I would like a tail and the head. When you press your 1, your snake will, those are the 2. The tail and the head will go into a certain direction, and that direction will be damaged by those ends. And as long as you manage to hit both, to hit the target with both ends, like the head and the tail, you are able to stun them, which is really good. Otherwise they are slowed, but if you take them like that, they are stunned. So what you can do is actually auto. So you've got 3 auto attacks. Stun them with your stun them with your 1, and then try to get them into your area effect. Or there's an even better combo, which is your 2. Your 2 is some kind of leash, and it has a pull and a push effect depending on where the enemy stands. If the enemy stands far away from you, he is reeled in. And if the enemy stands, and that was another good example of the passive management, and if the enemy is near you, he will be pushed away. So it has a little bit to do with positioning, and you can clearly see that VERES is all about positioning. Like we have the ult, we have the 1 that has to hit with both ends, we have the 2 that pulls on the one side and it pushes on the other side, and you have your 3, and your 3 is some kind of like a backlash. And with the new animation, you can actually see where the impact will be. So you are dashing forward, and you will kind of like create some spikes that are exploding out of the area in front of you, so that you're dealing enemies in front of you. But you have to be aware of the area where you do that again. So this is kind of like the thing that she does. And as you could see in this example, heroes such as the Dia-chan here in this example are killed easily by your passive, and I haven't built that much on attack. So VERES is really, really strong if you take her abilities in the correct order. Another thing that I would do after I've explained all her abilities, instead of ordering 1 and then her 2, I would try to auto 2, push the enemy away from you in the right direction, 1, hit, and then create your passive. In that case, with the 2, I think you should be able to get the enemy. Yeah, that looks really good. You should be able to get the enemy exactly in the portion of the area where you can actually hit them with your 1. So that should be the case, and that should be the correct way to use her. So I mean, you have to play around with her a bit anyways. Like, you can see stuff on this video, but as I'm explaining things, you will have to practice with her anyways. It's not that easy, and this is one of the earlier games. Like, I played a couple of games with VERES after this. You can see that on the date in the video. I'm still not entirely able to hit her passive always in the correct way, depending on where your enemy runs, because you have to use your abilities to make them, or to put them in the position where you want them, because otherwise it's a pain. There you go. There was another passive. I get the onslaught. We are on 4-0. Because you are just dealing so much damage. And with the new build that I think mainly was created by Darkbreaker and the other pros, you will have, with the Hercules ones, you will have an even easier time to get into the position where VERES will be both really tanky and on the other hand deal tremendous amounts of damage as well. This is more sort of a Florentino warrior build that has been quite popular in the early days. I think that now with the new items, you will see different things and you will realize that there's different stuff to do. And just look at that, like look at that, how easy it is for me right now to defeat Florentino, who was on, I think, full life. Okay, I've got 2 levels more than him, but it's really, really easy to do so. So of course, VERES is all about farm. You will have to take certain items as well, and with the boots, I would go for the Gilded Greaves, because you need something in order to be able to get the CC reduced. So the Gilded Greaves are your footwork to go. You can do the Hermes ones as well to get you faster. Depending on the matchup, you can also go with Sonic. Like, I would do the Sonic boots if you face an matchup with enemies who are really down to, oh no, I died, which are really down to a lot of attack damage. If you have like an attack damage jungler such as Lindis or Zephyrs, if you face an AD carry and someone like Evenith on the bottom lane and you have just one mage, you could think about doing Sonic boots as well, but I would not recommend them because I think Gilded Greaves is pretty much a staple. You could also, I think also a staple on her is the Rank Breaker. I think the Rank Breaker is still one of the most picked items on the Warriors. It is just too good with the additional attack damage and the armor penetration to let it go. I would always go with that, and the rest pretty much depends on what you run against. There might be like the best build at the moment, but I think the Mantle of Ra is still a pretty solid pick that you can do. You can do Gaias if you face loads of damage against that are coming from mages and stuff like that, so you should have one of those mage items, the amulet or the Gaias if you fancy something like that, and you will have some mages and you will need something like that, so go for it. Like I would do so. I wouldn't do Gaias. Besides that, I think that health regeneration that you can get is still quite nice. Yeah, and the end pretty much depends on what you want to do. I do get the Musashi's Blade for the armor penetration, the additional one in my newer build. You can do Fenrir's Tooth if you need like this, if you really like need this kind of like end damage, like the final damage to go through. And for Arcana, I'm not that sold on at the moment, but I'm going with Benevolence, I'm going with Onslaught, and I'm going with Skewer. Those are the three. I would think that Guerrilla would be a pretty nice one instead of Benevolence or the Assassinate. That's quite common on the warrior builds because it gives you attack speed, and attack speed procs, like activates your passive more often, and I think using her passive as often as possible is key to success. And after I played a couple of times with different abilities, I would always go with Flicker. Flicker is my way to go, because with the Flicker and your ult you have 2 escape tools if fights are getting tough, but you can easily 1 versus 3 if you are having the right build. And if you happen that you are losing a couple of times against the other enemies, you can still go with like full health Arcana if that helps you. So let's check out the build here, but this is like the end of my guide. Let's check out the build here. Going to freeze. I can do freeze the video. Will I show it? Yeah. Here we go. Okay, wait a second, guys. So look at that. I am having the Rank Breaker, I'm having the Mail of Pain, I'm having the Gaia Standard, and I'm having Mantle of Ra. And it's a quite solid build, but it's quite tanky. So you can switch those tanky items against the newer ones. For example, the Hercules Arm Sheets, if you want to. So yeah, that was my beginner's guide on VERES. If you have any questions concerning this character, just ask me in the comments below, and if you want to see more videos like that, just hit the subscribe button, put on the notifications, and there will be more videos to come in the future. I'm Void of Dust Gaming. Bye bye, guys.